Do you think you can scale or grow to 7 figures as a founder without W-2 employees?
Oh, yes.
You guys recently made the 2025 Inc. 5,000 list, fastest growing company. What are you guys doing that other companies or founders are not doing that allowed you to make that list?
We don't sit back and get comfortable where we're at.
A lot of founders say do never charge by the hour.
They do. And I don't know. I'll tell you, I've built a 30-year consultancy and we charge by the hour. We use all of that data to help build our learning models, our consulting models. We also feed that data into our AI to help our AI learn from what our teams are doing, because we record in our time. They do a narrative of what they've done, like a doctor does.
You don't think companies are going to go, we don't need a consultant, we'll just use AI?
Oh, yeah, they will.
Yeah,
they do it to us now.
And how does that work?
They come back.
Exactly.
Yes.
What would you say to a founder that's maybe 35, 40, 45 years old, sitting across from you, and you're able to kind of give them one piece of advice as they move forward, not really knowing anything about them, but you know that they're a founder, they're a business owner, and they want to grow their business, have a great life?
My answer is always the same: slow down. Slow down and listen to the environment you're in.
When you look back at the last 30 years, was it all worth it? Brian Smith with IA Business Advisors, correct?
That's right.
Yeah. I saw you did a post on LinkedIn that caught my attention as I was doing some research on you. And it said that you guys recently made the 2025 Inc. 5,000 list, fastest growing companies.
That's right.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. You looked at me like, wait.
No,
I was
that's
like, dang,
right.
my research was off. No. My first question is just, what are you guys doing that other companies or founders are not doing that allowed you to make that list? Because in my mind, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I think the number one thing is we don't sit back and get comfortable where we're at, which is very easy to do when you start a company and get to your first plateau.
Yeah.
You get so comfortable when you start making, you've come over the top, you've started making money, you've found this balance, and then you just sit back and you just let it go. And for us, because we work with founders and we think about our influence more intentionally than most people do, we're always looking for ways to improve what we do and increase the number of people that we have influence with. So that includes not only as our clients, but also the people that join us and who we help reach their goals from a career perspective.
Right. Was this the first time that you guys made the list?
It is.
Nice. Congrats,
Yeah,
man. That's
thank
awesome.
you.
I think
Thank
it's a
you.
really good accomplishment. What would you say to other founders listening? What are maybe some tactical things that you guys, if you had to sit down with another founder over coffee and say, hey, if you want to get to the Inc. 5,000 fastest growing companies, these are some things that you might want to do?
Yeah, the first thing is, are you ready? There's so much noise out there today about you got to scale, you got to scale, you got to scale. And I have a lot of appreciation for people who peddle that mindset, but scaling comes after growth. And people confuse growth and scaling. And they don't really understand what scaling means except this exponential, hockey stick growth model. But what they really need to understand is get your house in order. First make the determination that you want the responsibility of growth, because the responsibility is amazingly rewarding, but it's also such a responsibility, it could be amazingly difficult.
Can you explain the difference between growth and scaling?
I can. So when you are growing, you are adding revenue, but you're also adding the resources and the foundation to it, which means you're still spending money as a percentage of that revenue growth. When you're scaling, your revenue growth outpaces that increase in expenditures. So for example, if you are selling products and you need 5 people to sell that product or sell a certain number of products, soon you're going to get to a point where that foundation, let's say it's 10 people, let's say the 5 people you were selling 100 products. Mm-hmm. But now with 10 people, because of technology, business efficiencies, business processes, you can sell 10,000 products. That's when you've hit scaling mode. You've stopped adding similar percentage of cost expenses to your growth revenue increases. And scaling comes, 2x, 3x, 4x, we've heard it, 10x, which is ridiculous. It's a great thing to think about, and it sounds good as a soundbite, but 10x growth, if you add that to most people's businesses, they'll go bankrupt. They'll go bankrupt emotionally. They'll go bankrupt financially. It is a very tall order for most people to get to.
Well, I've never heard anyone break down the difference between growing and scaling in a business. I think that was really good. I always thought just like kind of they go hand in hand. It's like you're growing, you're scaling. It's kind of like synonyms, but they're not really.
No, not at all.
How would you go bankrupt from scaling your business or growing 10x?
Oh, that's a great question because we see it, unfortunately, too much. We actually had a client who leaned into a 10x mindset and went bankrupt. So what happens is they start growing so fast without having their business foundation in order that they can't keep up with the cost of that growth, or actually they can't keep up with the cost of scaling. They didn't understand they had to grow first. So what happens is they run out of money. This was a construction company, and they went from zero to $4 million, which in constructions isn't hard. You can get one project,
right,
and it could be a $4 million project. This company went from $4 million to $50 million, which is 10x. But they ran out of money funding the projects, and they started having to take from future disbursements of projects to fund their what was really growth and pay for the additional people needed to do the $50 million in projects. And they ran out of money and they ended up going out of business. And that happens a lot. You can apply that to a plumber, let's say. A plumber wants to grow too fast, so he goes out and he buys 3 trucks. And then he has to buy 3 people. And he's trying to service his market with these new people. Let's say he loses one. Well, the market demand is still there because he grew into it when he had 3 trucks. Now he only has 2 people with 3 trucks. And now the chinks start to happen because he didn't prepare for that growth first. And there's a point where you get to your break-even points, you understand what your cost models are, and then you can manage growth in an amazingly effective way.
Do you think you're more susceptible to having these type of issues if you have a business where you have invoices that go out in 30, 60, 90, net 90, things like that, because you're getting the business, but you're not getting paid till later? Because I think about coaching, consulting, sometimes in a lot of cases you're getting paid up front. And that's why at first I was like, how do you grow, how do you scale 10x and then go bankrupt? Because if you're getting the money in, doesn't that money be able to, fund the business?
It's not always money though,
right,
Alex. Sometimes it's the people.
Right.
You build up so much business and then you lose 1 or 2 people because your culture is being damaged by the growth.
That's a great point.
And then what happens is you degrade your ability to service the market. So you don't go maybe financially bankrupt, but you go service quality bankrupt. You go your ability to react to your clients and provide the service that you've promised.
Yeah.
And then you start to damage your reputation and you go bankrupt in a different way.
Yeah. Because then you stop winning business because your brand takes a dip. And then the people that you had there, now you don't have enough work to fulfill those orders with them. So you got to lay off people, and pretty soon you're in a situation where your business is in the trash.
Exactly. So it's not always about money per se. It can be about a lot of different factors. And it's why the growth phase is so important.
Yeah.
And for us, our clients, we take them through a growth scaling phases. We call it smart velocity, and it is a way for us to measure through growth into scaling. But, all scaling at some point reverts to growth again because you hit these plateaus where you need more foundation to keep stepping up. So we're constantly pivoting between growth and scaling for our clients.
Okay, so back to the original question. I love that we went down. We're going to go down some rabbit holes, and this is good. This is good. This is what the viewers want, by the way, to depth. You said that one of the things I asked was, how do you become a type of company that can become on the Inc. 5,000 fastest growing companies?
Yes.
You said the first thing was make sure you're ready.
Yes.
Right? We talked a little bit about that, growing versus scaling. What is maybe another thing or two that would get you to that point?
Yeah. Hire better people around you to do the things that you're not good at. For example, those things that support your foundation, HR, accounting, marketing. We don't have a sales team yet. We grew 228% last year. We've never had a sales team.
228%.
But we
as a mature business too.
Yes.
It's not like you guys are in year 2 or 3,
yes,
right? Like that's pretty
28 years old when we started that growth curve.
Something big must have happened.
It did. We changed our mindset.
Yeah?
Yeah, we changed our mindset to where we wanted to be. We branded our methodologies. We've always had a methodology, but we never really pushed it as a brand.
I know exactly what you mean. Own the language, drive the language.
Yes.
That's what they say.
Yeah, so we've really leaned into who we are. Some of it is our publishing work. We've written books that have gotten us a lot more exposure.
Right.
I get to speak now I get paid to speak, which adds revenue to that number.
Sure.
It's not a huge part of our business. It's less than 10%, but it does add to our consulting business.
Right, because you win clients from the speaking engagements.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, what it does for us is it lowers our cost of sales because we're getting our opportunities from not having to pay sales.
That's right.
Yes. So build that foundation around you as a founder.
Yeah.
You can't do it all. Read the E-Myth. If you could read a book that would help you the most as a founder, read the E-Myth. It really puts into perspective what you need to prepare yourself from a foundational founder's viewpoint to take you to the next level, even take you to a next level of growth opportunity.
Yeah. You mentioned that when I was on your podcast. You mentioned the E-Myth.
Yes.
And how important it was.
It's a huge part of, I was fortunate to have a mentor refer it to me and recommend it to me when I was young. And my wife and I read it before I started the company, and we've made it part of the fabric of how we teach as advisors and consultants.
Can I go back to the branded part? You said you had a lot of systems and proprietary type things that you guys did, but it wasn't necessarily branded.
Correct.
How did the branding of those things, which I think is important, and we've started doing that recently too, how has that shifted into revenue for the business?
Well, for one, we license some of our work now. So we have over 200 independent contractors globally that work with us.
Really?
And those contractors lean into us for a lot of our policies, a lot of our procedures, a lot of our processes. And we're expanding that at a very rapid pace. That's for us, our scaling plan is using contractors and using technology to support contractors in business instead of humans. So that's the number one.
Contractors instead of humans?
Well, no, contractors
Instead of W-2 employees.
Instead of W-2 employees.
Yes, I got you. That's what I thought. I just wanted to.
Yeah.
You never know with AI now.
Yeah.
You know, it could go a totally different route. Yeah.
No.
Okay.
And we're not looking for AI to replace humans. We're
Yes.
looking to AI to supplement the human process.
Right. I think that's kind of the blueprint to grow in the consulting coaching business, isn't it?
I think so, too.
1099. You know, is that what McKinsey? Do you know anything about them? Is that what they did? Because I feel like they're a huge consulting company.
Yeah, they're using a lot of contractors, but so is Deloitte. All the big guys
Yeah.
are using a lot of contractors now,
Yeah.
which benefits us. We don't play in that market, so we do
Right.
not compete with them.
Right.
But we do feed off of their culture, and their culture is a churn and burn culture for their consultants. And it's because they're so busy and they are powerful and they're actually really good at what they do.
Right.
For us, we get to pick up some of the people who can't keep the pace, and our pace is more intentional and a lot slower. And our tools allow for that to happen, and the client size. I mean, our average client is 5 employees to 250 employees.
Yeah.
You know, and revenue can swing based on business, but basically $1 million to 50 million.
So what's the working relationship like between your business and the consultant?
So if they're a W-2 consultant, it's pretty traditional. But with the contractors, it is very similar to W-2, except a lot of them are independent C-suite consultants, fractional CFO, fractional COO, who have gone out to hang their shingle, but found that it's feast or famine.
Yeah.
You get a project, the project's over, and what they find themselves chasing is the next long-term gig. What we provide for them is an opportunity to have maybe multiple 4, 5, 6 different gigs. And what they get from that is security,
Right.
that if we lose one of those, we'll fill it with another one.
And you pay them based on the engagements that they do.
We pay them by the hour.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We pay them by the hour, and we pay them a high percentage of what we collect. So we like it that way. We provide two things to them. We provide the foundational support. So if they're on a project and they need to lean into, let's say, an HR problem or an operations problem, if they were a CFO, they know they can pivot back to our team and pull somebody off the bench and help them through that problem. We win by the extra revenue generated. They win because they look like they're operating as a team, not just this sole practitioner. Two, we give them tools that they can use. We give them the tools of our library of 3,000 to 4,000 policy and procedure documents, supporting documents that have been tested over the last 30 years. They also get overlying protection like their liability insurance because the contracts are in our name. We carry all of the insurances that they might need, and they don't have to go and buy all of that also. And then finally, we win because they oftentimes just bring the gig to us. So we'll hold the paper on the gig. It's still their client.
Yeah.
And they're free to leave. And oftentimes they leave and take the client. But just as often, they don't take the client and we replace them with a different contractor or a W-2 employee. A lot of these companies mature and they move from having a fractional C-suite person to a permanent C-suite person. We oftentimes get to be involved in choosing that permanent one. So we use partners for that, which means that our relationship with our recruiting partners, our CPA firms, our law firms, all of our partnerships around the world are strengthened every time a fractional contractor joins us and allows us to be part of their delivery.
Do you think you can scale or grow to 7 figures as a founder without W-2 employees?
Oh, yes, I do.
Yeah.
I very much so.
What makes you say that?
Yeah, well, because there's so many individual people right now. That I think of Fiverr and some of the services that are out there to go and get fractional people. And if you're have a good onboarding process and you give yourself the opportunity to slow down when you bring on new talent, contractors to support you, and you actually don't just grab the first person that's there. You can surround yourself with people that are like-minded. And by like-minded, I mean buy into whatever culture you're trying to build, have similar mission for their success, and provide the technical skills needed for you to deliver whatever it is you're doing. And I think we're a perfect example. We have grown in 30 years using contractors.
Yeah.
We started with contractors.
How many W-2 employees do you guys have?
48,
That's a lot.
but we have 200 contractors.
42 W-2 employees?
Yes.
And if you're not an entrepreneur, you might be like, that's not a huge company, but go start your own business. And
Yes.
then you realize how much 42 employees W-2 are.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And then you have how many contractors?
Over 200.
Over 200. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Wow. Wow, it's a good sized business. What would you say to someone that's like, they're doing coaching, consulting work, and they're struggling because if they bring someone new on, they don't know what they know, right? And sure, and you build SOPs and processes and systems, but then you're on a call with a client. And this contractor now, who maybe has some experience in the area, which is why you brought them on, but they're not you. And they can't walk through or solve a problem quite the same way you would. Or maybe the client bought into the program because they thought they were getting you as the coach, as the consultant.
That's a really difficult transition point for the founder, first of all, because having trust in new people when you've been the focal point of a relationship is amazingly difficult. And I've learned that lesson over and over and over and over again. And funny enough, I was having this conversation on my way here today with a team member talking about dealing with individual failure. And individual failure is what you're talking about. That contractor coming into an environment and stepping on his toes, saying the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Giving them the confidence to say, I don't know. Also preparing your client for that type of interaction and saying, look, we're growing. I've added this new person. This new person is on a X, whatever time frame you've chosen, learning curve. Please be patient with them. Always know that I am behind them, supporting them, and whatever happens, we will do it the right way. And if they misspeak, please lean into that as part of the learning process. And our clients are partners with us.
That's really good.
We onboard them that way. We we sell our services that way. We aren't just a consultant. We're actually part of their foundation going forward.
Yeah.
And we have clients who, we like to say, take us off the shelf and put us back on the shelf all the time. We have clients that disappear for a year, and all of a sudden they'll show up one day, pull us off the shelf, use us, and then put us back on the shelf. Mm-hmm. It's because of that transparency. It's because of that partnership that we have these types of relationships. And that's how you build your team around you, is be transparent about what you're doing with your clients. Mm. That way there's no surprises.
That's so good, Brian. I'll be transparent and say right now, I have a new person. Well, not new, she's been with us a year, and I'm trying to instill my experience and wisdom and knowledge into her, and she's doing a really good job on calls. But there's an experience gap still, right? And we're trying to kind of close as much as we can, be patient with her as she grows. I never once thought to tell the client, hey, lean into this. If she does misspeak or something doesn't go the right way in a meeting, I want you to lean in. I want you to ask questions. I'm going to be involved in everything. I'm backing her 100%. I'm there for most of the calls, to be honest. Mm-hmm. There for the strategy, for what we do with them. But making sure that you tell the client that and have them say, okay, cool. Well, if she says something kind of weird or it takes it down a direction that we didn't want to go, I'm going to call it out and just say it so she can grow, and then we can also get the best service possible too.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really good. So with all these W-2 employees, and you've got 200 plus contractors, it seems to me like you would have to have some type of client acquisition machine for the business. What is the client acquisition machine for you guys?
Yeah, so it's a multi-point client acquisition machine. One of the things that we require and have through every firm that we've ever owned or been involved in is that we have community involvement. So what that means is that our practice leads or myself join chambers of commerce, BNIs, different community organizations, Rotary. It doesn't matter. You can choose one to many depending on what your area of influence is in our organization.
Yeah.
And we use those engagements as client generators. It doesn't always happen overnight. And if you're going to join, you have to be involved. You can't just join and then hopefully it'll just be something.
Right.
So many business owners join these community-based business organizations, lead organizations, but they don't engage. Yeah. They show up sometimes, but they sit there.
Just wanting business, right?
Yes.
Come to me, baby. Come to me.
Yeah, like they're a magnet.
Yeah.
The other one is we look for, what BNI calls power partners. We look for partners who will give synergistic relationships that have parity. And what I mean by parity is there is as much give as there is take.
Right.
And we, as we just talked about earlier, we make that very transparent. Mm-hmm. If we're going to have a partnership, it's going to have to be a two-way street.
Yeah.
And if at any point it ever stops being a two-way street, if we take advantage of you, not intentionally, but it just happens sometimes, right, or vice versa, that partnership could be at risk. And thankfully, we lose very few of our partners. Our basket of partnerships has grown fairly steadily for almost 30 years.
Wow. This is an episode I'm going to go back and listen to again after this, because I feel like you're just dropping so much knowledge and wisdom from being in business for 30 years and growing your company to what it is today. There's only so much you can absorb when you're the host trying to ask questions and keep it going, Yeah. I want to go back, and I encourage you guys to go back and listen to these episodes. Take notes if you're listening right now. So you've been in business for 30 years, or almost 30 years at least, right? Mm-hmm. You mentioned in a LinkedIn post that you were visiting a client, I think it was in New York, that had been with you guys for 10 years.
That's right.
What is the key to client retention?
Well, the first is transparency, always, about everything that has to do with that client. It doesn't matter what it is.
I can tell you guys live that. That's like a core value for your company, if I had to guess.
It is.
Yeah.
You can get in so much trouble if you try to fix problems under the sheets, under the rug, and it doesn't quite work out. And then you have to go and tell them later what you were doing.
Yeah.
What I have always found is that clients are more upset that you tried to fix it without their knowledge than had you just told them what the problem was originally and that you were going to fix it.
Yeah.
So it's like that, I think, in life as humans, but
sure.
It's a great business lesson. But the other one is we listen to our clients. We never sell them anything. We actually listen to what their goals are. We listen to what their objectives are. We lean into that. That particular client started as a succession client, which means the father was transitioning ownership to the son. We got that done. We had a competitor at the time. They were an EOS company, so they subscribed to EOS, which is a great business operating tool. I feel like our operating tools are better. Actually, they don't replace EOS; they just fill in the gaps.
Got it.
So we did the transition. The son hated EOS; he just didn't like it because he doesn't like structure. As soon as we got the transition done, he fired us. So this was in 2018. When he fired us, we had laid out what the 6 month to 60 month trajectory was going to look like for him, and we thought this will never happen when he fired us because he was very erratic. And it wasn't erratic because he's an erratic person. He just had a lot of goals, and he's just one of those people who was like a bull in a china shop.
Yeah.
Well, he was successful, but he was successful in a way that it became just more erratic. And a year later, he called me and said, I need you to come back. And he does not prescribe to all of the organization that we would like our clients to follow, but he does what works holistically and organically for his organization. And they are a perfect example of when you lean into what the client wants and what the client's talents are and what the client's capabilities are, and you allow them to mold what you're bringing them into their area of influence, that they'll succeed. And when they feel that trust, they just keep you around. And so they bring us off the shelf about every 3 months on high level issues. And then we manage their marketing relationship with one of our marketing partners every day. So we're involved with them all the time. And that's a fairly typical succession client for us.
Yeah. What's a typical engagement? Just if you were to start with the client today, is it 12 months, 6 months, 24 months? Like, what is a typical engagement?
I mean, for us, it's almost perpetual.
Okay.
Most of
you
our
charge
clients,
a monthly retainer? Or how
we
does it
don't.
work?
We always charge by the hour, which I have
Interesting.
debates with my peers.
A lot
all
of
the
people, a
time.
lot of founders say do never charge by the hour.
They do. And I don't know. I'll tell you, I've built a 30-year consultancy, and we charge by the hour. Now, we do have flat rate things. For example, our Biz Vision process is a flat rate.
Okay.
But everything that happens after the Biz Vision process is by the hour. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't give budget dollars, because we do. We're very transparent. We call them not greater than contracts. Every piece of work we do comes with a not greater than clause. So, for example, you call them retainers. We call them not greater than clauses. If we do monthly accounting for a company, we'll say, we will do all of your fractional C-suite and your monthly bookkeeping for a fee not to exceed $8,000 a month.
Got it.
Okay, or not to exceed $3,000 a month.
Isn't that a lot of hours to track?
Sure it is. But the amount of information we get about ourselves from our time tracking tools is more valuable than the effort to put into it. I know as a founder and as somebody who's seen our organization grow from hundreds of hours a week of consulting to thousands of hours a week of consulting, there was no way as a founder I could keep track of that.
Right.
And it would drive a lot of people insane.
Yeah.
We have time tracking tools where I get summaries from my team about what our teams are doing, how efficient they are, what our utilization numbers are, how much clients are spending, how much it takes to solve problems, how much it takes each person to solve different problems. So, for example, we might have a seasoned person who tackles, let's say, a bank wreck for a client, and it takes them an hour. A new person might take 2 hours. Well, how do you factor the learning curve into your fee structure to get them from 2 to 1? Because there is a learning curve that gets them the experience they need and face the challenges that come from that. We use all of that data to help build our learning models, our consulting models. We also feed that data into our AI to help our AI learn from what our teams are doing, because we record in our time. They do a narrative of what they've done, like a doctor does. When you go to a doctor, he's transcribing what he's doing for you.
Yeah.
We do the same thing,
Right.
and we upload that into our AI models.
So what do you say to the business owner or founder that says monthly retainers are the way to go. Charging by the hour is ridiculous.
That's for them. So that's
Is there an argument to be made for the monthly retainers?
Sure.
What do you think's wrong with that model? I mean, obviously you mentioned the tracking and things like that.
But I think they're missing the data that's really important to understanding what your people are doing and how your people are impacting and influencing themselves and the client. And I think not having that data long term is a detriment to your future. Now, I don't know what that means because each business is different. Will they overcome that? Sure. Will they be profitable still? Sure. But we have lots of partners and lots of clients in professional services who flat fee. They're amazingly successful. But the founders can't tell me what their teams do, and they can't tell me the disparity in learning or the disparity in increase in onboarding different types of clients or engagements.
Right.
They can barely tell me what their utilization numbers are.
And that's an interesting perspective. If I was sitting here with the Brian of 30 years ago, just starting the business, new to entrepreneurship, what would that Brian look like?
Yeah, so unfortunately, I wasn't new to entrepreneurship, which actually was a detriment because getting too much knowledge, and I'm under the table doing quotes because the knowledge you get isn't always the right knowledge when you're younger.
Yeah.
Your perceptions are different.
Yeah.
Your arrogance is different. Your ego is different.
Yeah.
And so the difference is that I've learned that ego is important when you understand it and you can appreciate what it's there for, but it doesn't guide you and drive you. It supports you and gives you the confidence that you need to get through difficult situations.
Explain that a little bit more. Ego.
Well, ego is solely human. You know, there's no other mammal on earth that has an ego, and it can be dangerous when we think we're too good. We don't listen as much. We go faster. We're less intentional, and we are also less intentional for others and more intentional for self, which is very dangerous, especially in the consulting world, but in any world, it's dangerous. So those got in the way early on. I write about this in our first book about my journey from being this immature, experienced, but very immature business person to this learning curve I had to go through as a human and as a professional that really started in the mid-90s when I started the company and has never stopped now, but I really realized it the latter part of the 90s, early part of the 2000s. The other thing is going fast isn't good. You don't need to go fast to be efficient. You don't need to go fast to be successful. You need to be intentional. And if intentional means you're ultra slow, there's a reason for it. Let yourself learn at a pace that supports less mistakes. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to make, I didn't say mistakes, but less mistakes so that when you make those mistakes, you can actually look at them more intentionally instead of justifying them, ignoring them. Because they stop becoming mistakes when you do them over and over again, and they just turn into stupidity, quite frankly.
Yeah, making the same mistake over and over again.
And you do.
Is insanity.
And when you, but you do that when you go too fast.
Yes,
and
that's
you smooth them over and you justify them.
Yeah.
And you get lost in the justification. What drives justification, I believe, is your ego.
Yeah, that's so true. 2004 was a crossroads year for you. What happened?
It was huge. Yeah. So I was traveling a lot. So
consulting?
I'm sorry?
Doing consulting?
Yes. And I had taken on Denver is our base, or was our base, I should say. And I don't know why this is the case, but we always seem to add clients outside of where we're at.
It'd be a lot easier if they're just local.
It would be easier. And, historically it's been, even today it's this way. We add 3 times as many clients out of Illinois than we do here.
Really?
And our biggest team is here. However, I was traveling a lot. I had 3 children at the time. My youngest was 4. And, my son, who is my youngest, was asking, the carpet cleaner, literally, to play with him because his dad wasn't around. And my wife told me that story, and it really hit me. Why it didn't hit me with my daughters, I don't know. My daughters would say, maybe, well, Henry's your son, so he's more important. But that wasn't it. I think it was the accumulation of so much travel and so much disconnection. On top of that, we were in ego phase. We had built this big home on a golf course. We had the cars. We were leaning into, we were making a lot of money, and we were spending it like we were making a lot of money. And the pressure was phenomenal to bring that money in for our organization. Anyhow, we had an opportunity to disconnect, if you will, from that pace. Not disconnect from the company, but from the pace. And we moved our family to Oregon. And it is my first lesson in intentionality and really being intentional about certain things. One, family. And two, our company. Where was our company going to go when I took myself out of our headquarters, moved my family to Oregon, but left the entire organization back in Denver?
Did you feel like you had to move to get away from it?
I did. I not to get away from it. I had to move to get intentional with my family.
Sure.
And I took on a long-term contract that I knew was going to take up 70% of my time with a client that we had, a family client that owned, it's $1 billion family who owned hundreds of companies. And they owned these companies in Southern Oregon. And they made us an offer we couldn't refuse, which included a guaranteed 3-year contract and equity.
Wow.
So we moved to Southern Oregon. I moved offices literally into the second floor of a bowling alley.
Wow.
And started running IA remotely from there. And, what we like to say is the rest is history, because that was the pivot point, not only for us as a family, but also for IA. It's when IA actually got its traction.
Interesting.
Yeah.
When you actually were more intentional about the time you spent with your family.
Yes.
The business grew even more.
Yeah, I got out of people's way. So at the time, we owned also an MSP. And
managed service provider.
Yes.
For those that don't, yeah.
And I sold that company to our employees, and I just walked away from it.
Wow.
They took 15 years to pay us, but I just walked away. I had nothing to do with it, which that company had been in our family really since 92. So for me to walk away from that was a big deal, but I just turned it off completely. I turned it over to people who had been with us since the early 90s, and they bought it from us, and they ran it, and they made it amazingly successful. And I leaned into our consulting. I leaned into our investment in Southern Oregon, but I also leaned into what we were doing externally with our teams and really started to focus on developing our tool set, our biz vision process, how we were going to approach clients. And I got very intentional about who we were as a consulting organization. And when I did that, I started to shed feeling like I had to be involved in everything. And I started I still did tactical work because I enjoy it, but I was also able to slow down and let it grow at its own pace. And it took 4 years of that before we had a good foundation.
And how did the relationship with your kids and wife change from all this?
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, I saw them every day instead of, every 2 weeks.
Was that hard at first, though, making the adjustment?
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I still had to travel. We joke, Renee and I, I've been with my wife now 35 years.
Wow.
And we joke that we've been together 35 years because I travel so much. And, that's funny, but it's somewhat true. Our relationship is renewed every time I travel, and she travels with me now because we're empty nesters. But it really did change the way that we thought about our time together.
Yeah.
There was resentment on both sides, I think, when I traveled all the time when we lived in Colorado. Sure. But our life became more intentional, not just our personal life, but our business life. She got involved in our business more. The kids got involved in our business more. We tried to spend, where we lived in Southern Oregon, you had to drive everywhere. hundreds of miles. So I bought a Suburban and we spent a lot of time in the car together.
Yeah,
and,
that's cool.
things like that. And we were forced to be this family in the time that we were together. And it's paid dividends. I mean, my kids were just here over the weekend because they went to a festival together, and they're all grown adults and live all over the country, but they came here first, came together, and then went. So we are
cool.
we are more of a family than we ever would have been had we just stayed on the trajectory we were post or pre-move to Oregon.
I feel like it's such an important story because I think a lot of founders, all of us at some point in time, especially like maybe early on, but I know some people in their 50s, 60s that are still that way, where it's just grow the business, grow the business, grow the business. And we sort of lose sight of what are we even doing it for? Why? Is it to support a lifestyle, and is it to support our family and the things that we want to do in our life? Or is it just growing to get to the next milestone? Because the next milestone just gets pushed out to the next one and the next one and the next one. And then pretty soon you look back and you go, damn, I missed out on this and this and the kids and the what, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's just it's an easy trap to fall into, I feel like.
It is.
Especially when you're very motivated and you're driven, you're an entrepreneur type at, you're just go.
Yeah. I think being transparent about that is what's most important. I think what happens is your family starts to think that the business is more important because they don't understand what drives that entrepreneur. They're not transparent with the family about what actually makes them happy as an individual. And each of us is different. And I think the more you can share with those that are close to you about what drives you, there might have to be sacrifices. There might not. You might find out they have the same drive and they just want to be more involved. I know families who we've supported through succession who, the wife and the kids are just as driven about the business as the entrepreneur is. And they find once they open that transparency and have that clarity with each other, they start moving forward again. But what they find was they were battling each other and they didn't even realize they were battling over the same objectives. So transparency solves a lot of things. It brings so much clarity, and you can apply that anywhere. So it's not that it's bad to have these tendencies and these urges and these goals. What's bad is when you don't really define it clearly in your area of influence, whatever that is. That includes your wife, your kids, even your teams. If your teams don't know where you're going, everything you do is chaos.
Yeah.
And that's dangerous.
Yeah. You mentioned 2008 being a tough time in the business and then COVID. Which one was tougher, and what was the lowest point in the business, and how did you get out of it?
Wow. So I think the lowest part of our business wasn't really 2008. 2008 was tough. 2008 was tough for a different reason. We actually took a huge hit in utilization in 2008 when the economic crash happened, and we had to find a way to bring utilization numbers up.
What do you mean by that?
So, as I talked about, we have a lot of contractors.
Yeah.
So for us, utilization, for 70% utilization for a consultant is an important number. At 70%, we are running, 5 by 5. I mean, we are just clicking. And 70% is 70% of full time. So if you can think of a person who works 1,000 hours, if we can get 700 hours billable out of them, then we're doing really good. Well, those numbers dip below 50 because as the financial impact of the 2008 crashes hit small business, they immediately started to retract their spend.
Right.
They were transitioning a lot of what they needed done to themselves because we have a small business base. I mean, we don't have layers and layers in the companies that we advise. So we had to come up with a way to increase utilization and do it in a way that touched all of our consultants. So we addressed that, but it was a learning curve for us. We had some big losses. And I had to also deal with what that was doing to our local business. We had just built a hotel in Southern Oregon. Worst time to buy a hotel.
Jeez,
or build a hotel. We build it from scratch.
Oh my goodness.
We had an entertainment center that we had equity in, which was bowling and arcades, and people didn't have discretionary incomes to spend. So that just kind of layered it for us.
Now, in those moments, what's your mindset? Are you doubting things? Are you, kind of going back to the foundation? Are you just saying, I've been here before, done this, we'll weather it, we're fine?
Yes. So I don't really doubt much.
Was that the case early on, or is that something you learned?
No, that's something I learned.
Yeah. And going through the experiences, you kind of, you have the scars.
Yes. Every failure to me now isn't really, I don't really like that word. Every issue that we face is just a learning opportunity.
Yeah, that's right.
And I actually counsel a team member at least once a week, sometimes multiple times, multiple team members, when they beat themselves up over this. Don't doubt yourself. Learn from whatever it is that's initiating the doubt, and use that as a way to improve. Period. We don't like the word change. We replace that with improve. If you're changing to change, you're doing it the wrong way. If you're changing to improve, you're on the right mindset. So for me, it was I was fearful for what was going to happen to the people that I was responsible for, which not only included our IA team, but also included in this small community where we lived, the 80 people that worked for us between a hotel and an entertainment center. And then roughly 100 to 120 contractors and employees at IA, and watching them suffer because we couldn't keep the pace. Our clients just didn't have the work for us.
Right.
And coming up with solutions was very stressful. But we were always, at this point, we were very transparent with everybody about what we were going to be doing. Everybody always knew. The hotel, I don't care if you were one of the room cleaners in our hotel, if you were the snack bar worker at the entertainment center, or if you were a consultant, you knew what we were doing to overcome the challenges we had from a business perspective, and we were shoulder to shoulder with you. For example, I bought a plow and put it on the front of our vehicle that we picked up people from the airport for our hotel, and we saved $2,000 a month plowing our 3 acres of parking lot at our entertainment center or hotel by putting a plow on the front of our pickup truck.
Wow.
And I did it.
Yeah.
And
that's where you have to push the ego aside, to your point earlier, and be humble and say, this is what's required to get us out of this.
yes, I worked behind the bar on Tuesday nights to save a shift and give people some time off. And it was the slowest night, so I wasn't taking a lot away from our team and their ability to collect tips and build those tip relationships you need in those environments. So it was little things like that that add up. And Renee and I stopped taking pay. It's also when we decided that I would be paid the same hourly rate. So everybody in our company is paid hourly. It's a very unique model that we have. I determined that I would be paid the same rate as the lowest paid employee in the company during that time. So the lowest paid person at an entertainment center is about 10 cents over minimum wage. That's what I got paid. And I kept it that way, actually, up until about 2 years ago when we brought on our first partner. But I've always had that mindset that compensation for me as a business owner comes in profit, not in a salary.
That's right. When you look back at the last 30 years, was it all worth it?
Yes. I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah.
If I changed, I did this TED Talk and I talked about the butterfly effect. If I changed anything in the past, we might not even be sitting here.
Probably wouldn't be.
Yeah. So if I look back at the past, it's for one reason. Can I learn something from it, or can I look at it and think, wow, that was just amazing? Those are both positive statements, even the negatives. If I look at something that was negative in my past, I'm not looking at it to beat myself up. I'm looking at it and either I overcame it, which is a positive, or is there anything else I can learn from that experience today? It's the only two reasons why I look at past negative issues.
AI is like the big talking point right now, obviously. Everyone's talking about it. It's got all the hype and the buzz. How do you think AI impacts service-based businesses like consulting firms and coaching companies? over the next 5 years?
Well, I think it will influence a lot of us in a bad way. I think a lot of people are leaning into it to do their jobs, and I think that's dangerous.
Me too. They're using it as a crutch in a lot of ways, where it's like I just see people going right to AI the first thing without thinking, without putting their insights. And I think it's not a good crutch if you're using it that way. And I think it takes away from your own intellectual thought process, your creativity. But certainly it can be used as an assistant, as a creative assistant, is what I like to say.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we would agree 100%. In fact, we have policies on AI usage in our organization that tie directly to what you just said. You cannot use it to do your work. You can use it to review your work. You can use it to edit your English, but you can't use it to answer the question.
Interesting. I love that.
So, and in our work, that's really important. For one, is that if you allow AI to answer a client's problem and AI answers it wrong, we've now inherited a liability from something that we have very little control over.
Yeah.
So we posed it that way to our team first. Like, do you want to be the person who tells your client that you didn't do the work, AI did the work, and you're sorry it's wrong? Do you actually want to have that conversation? Because I'm not having that conversation.
Right. Yeah.
I don't.
That's a tough conversation to have,
Yeah.
honestly.
And I don't have those conversations for our team. If our team makes a mistake, it's our team's responsibility to be accountable to the client.
That's right.
Period.
Yeah.
And that's how we teach accountability also, because you're going to make mistakes. So you might as well learn how to do it early. So on the good side it is a great tool for checking yourself, your English, adding context or asking if you have enough context or don't have enough context. Are there any differing opinions that you can do research on? Provide me the research and the reference material that goes with the research. One of the things I think people don't do is they trust AI, whereas if you ask AI, it'll actually give you the data that it used to give you an answer, and you can actually look at that yourself. And I think humans get lazy with AI.
Totally.
And I think that's the biggest danger.
I agree.
That we'll get intellectually lazy.
We take the path of least resistance in most cases.
Yes.
And AI gives us that path. And it's an easy out when sometimes we don't want the path. We want the path that is the best path for us to take to get to where we want to go. Oftentimes that's a little bit more of the challenging path, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So you don't think AI is going to, you don't think companies are going to go, we don't need a consultant. We'll just use AI.
Oh, yeah, they will.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do it to us now.
And how does that work?
They come back.
Exactly.
Yes. So, and
But
it will
does
happen.
that change in 5 to 10 years when it's a lot better?
I think it's going to change contextually. And what I mean by this is I think what we will see is a lot of initial AI responses. So here's my problem. Let's say I have a turnover problem at my office. And the turnover problem is probably something to do with a lack of understanding of what the position is. So people come into the organization, they either don't understand the position they were hired for, or they didn't understand the culture they were being hired into.
Yeah.
So AI will tell them that, hey, you have a communication problem. You're not setting your candidates up for success. AI can't be the human that teaches that does the onboarding of a human and transitions them from a new person in an organization to an integrated person in an organization. Yeah. So what's going to happen is people will start to self-identify some of the issues they're having through AI, but AI will not be able to do the work that's needed to fix the issue, because these are plumbing companies and construction companies, and they're small. Okay, most businesses are small. To do that work, to develop a position guide, to teach it, to onboard it, to do everything that's involved in that requires a human, and it requires a human that isn't in construction. Well, they're in the construction business, and every time that they try to stop doing construction to do onboarding or accounting or anything else, they're taking away from their core value. So what's going to happen is you have people that lean into AI for problem identification, but I believe that consultants will then transition more into actually the task-based on, remediation work that needs to
Right.
be done. And we'll be supported by that also.
Yeah. Yeah. Last question for you. What would you say to a founder that's maybe 35, 40, 45 years old, sitting across from you, and you're able to kind of give them one piece of advice as they move forward, not really knowing anything about them, but you know that they're a founder, they're a business owner, and they want to grow their business, have a great life?
Yeah, that's a great question. And my answer is always the same: slow down. Slow down and listen to the environment you're in, and make sure that you understand what you're doing, why you're doing it, who you're doing it for, and you understand the people who are supporting you. But you have to slow down and listen. And if you do that, the issues will come to the top faster. The solutions to those issues will also come to the top faster. And you will also respect the people that are around you more because you're starting to listen to them. And not everything they say has the value you need, but everything they say is still important because it pertains to somebody in your area of influence. Mm-hmm. So if they're wrong, you have an opportunity to help them be better. Mm-hmm. If they're right, you have an opportunity to improve yourself. Either way, you're going to improve your overall area of influence in your environment.
It's like the more I learn about business, the more I realize I don't know about business. It's like one of those things where the more you learn about it, the more you realize you don't know. But man, this has been a great conversation, Brian. I really appreciate you doing this. This is going to be this is one of the top episodes for me. I'm going to go back and listen to this again.
Thank you.
I really appreciate everything that you shared. A lot of wisdom.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. Where can people find you, connect with you, learn more about what you guys do?
Yeah, so our website is iabusinessadvisors.com. So you can go there, learn all about who we are, where we've come from, our team. Also, the I in Team series, which is a website that's all about our culture and behavioral development work that we do within organizations and individually through leaders. And then I'm on LinkedIn. So connect with me on LinkedIn. We share a lot. Everything we talked about today, we share through our social. So
I almost forgot we'll do this rapid fire since we don't have a lot of time.
Okay.
I got 3 questions from the Founder Talk Club, which is our community around the podcast where people can ask questions for upcoming guests.
Okay.
So we'll kind of rapid fire these as much as we can. The first one is, what's the biggest mindset shift small business owners need to make in order to go from survival mode to scaling mode?
Yeah, well, to at risk of being a broken record, slow down and listen to your market and understand where you're at and get yourself through growth to scaling.
Love it. What advice, I feel like we did answer some of these in the show. So what advice do you have for founders who feel stuck between wanting to grow their business and also being burnt out?
That's a great one. So understand why you're burnt out, which takes the slowdown moment. Can you improve that objectively? It's a deep thought process. And if you can't, start looking at succession.
The last one was, are there risks of scaling your business too fast? But we covered that. And absolutely there are.
Yes.
My takeaways were slow down, listen, be intentional, and be transparent with your team, with your clients, with your family. So, Brian, thank you again for being on the Founder Talk podcast. And maybe at some point we could do a round 2.
Yeah, thank you, Alex.
Appreciate you.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Thank you.
Oh, man, what do you think, man?
That was fun.
God, that was... Oh.
I love doing podcasts, Alex.
You're really good in this setting, too. Because, seeing you from a host is one thing, but from a guest, it's a totally different. Because now you really get to open up and we get to hear from you versus when you're a host, it's more about the guest.
Right.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, I really enjoy podcasts.
Let me turn these off real quick.